start with the background of the Pilipinas Shell Petroleum Corp v. CIR case. Pilipinas Shell Petroleum Corporation, or PSPC, imported Jet A1 aviation fuel into the Philippines. As required by law, PSPC paid excise taxes upon importation. Later, PSPC sold this same aviation fuel to international carriers. How under Section 135A of the National Internal Revenue Code, petroleum products sold to international carriers for use in international operations are exempt from excise tax. PSPC believed that since the fuel was ultimately sold to these exempt international carriers, they should be entitled to a refund or tax credit for the excise taxes they already paid. This set the stage for a legal dispute with the Commissioner of Internal Revenue, who denied PSPC's claim. Dispute raised two main legal questions. First, does Jet A1 fuel imported by PSPC and later sold to international carriers become exempt from excise tax? Second, is PSPC entitled to a refund or credit of the excise taxes it already paid? PSPC argued that the exemption should apply because the fuel was eventually sold to international carriers who are themselves exempt. On the other hand, the Commissioner of Internal Revenue maintained that excise tax liability attaches at the point of importation, regardless of who eventually buys the product. This means that the tax is due as soon as the fuel enters the country, and the status of the buyer does not affect the importer's tax liability. Supreme Court ultimately sided with the Commissioner of Internal Revenue. The court reaffirmed that excise taxes on petroleum products are imposed on the act of importation or manufacture, not on the subsequent sale. According to Sections 148 and 129 of the National Internal Revenue Code, the tax liability is fixed the moment the goods enter the Philippines, and it is the importer who is responsible for paying it. Exemption under Section 135A applies strictly to international carriers, not to suppliers like PSPC. Therefore, the law does not allow for a pass-through exemption or retroactive erasure of tax liability. As a result, PSPC cannot claim a refund or tax credit for the excise taxes it paid on Jet A1 fuel, since it was not the exempt entity under the law.